Hi, guys, and welcome back. It has been so hard to keep up with all the great women's basketball that's been played lately. So please bear with me. This one might be a little longer than usual. We had some amazing games last week. We're going to cover the ACC versus SEC Challenge, as well as the Champions Challenge, and talk about the teams that are undefeated no more. So there was quite a bit to happen last week. I'm going to play the intro really quick, and then we're going to get into it. Welcome to Davis Sports Report. Please hit the like button on your way in and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are still on our journey to reach 5,000 by the end of the year. So if you have not already subscribed, please consider doing so. And go ahead and hit that thumbs up and give us that like to help us get in the algorithm. I promise this is going to be a great video. It's going to be worth it. So let's get started. First, we're going to start off with the ACC versus SEC championship. And the first game was Mississippi State versus Georgia Tech. And both teams came in undefeated. This was a really close game the entire way. Mississippi State went into the half with a 5-point lead. Jerkayla Jordan and Anaya Russell were holding it down for Mississippi State, but Kara Dunn refused to let Tech get too far behind in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Toni Morgan and Danny Carnegie made their presence known. In the second half, it continued to be the Kara Dunn versus Jerkayla Jordan show, and with the help of Toni Morgan, Georgia Tech was able to defeat Mississippi State in the final seconds, and I believe get into the top 25 conversations as they remain undefeated. High score for Mississippi State was Jerkayla Jordan with 25 points, and for Georgia Tech, no surprise here, was Kara Dunn with 23 points. Both of these teams are fantastic, and this game could have gone either way. Toni Morgan, who's a junior this year, and Jerkayla Jordan, who's a senior and WNBA ready, I would say, can handle the ball with the best of them. But at the end of it all, Mississippi State is undefeated no more. Next, we will cover Florida State versus Tennessee, another super close game. Tennessee came into the game undefeated against Florida State, who has the nation's leading scorer, junior Tania Latson. And when I tell you this girl is bad, there should be much more talk about her. FSU entered with only one loss. Tennessee jumped out early and held the lead the majority of the first and second quarter, leading by as much as 20 at one point. In the second half, Tania Latson came alive, put the game on her back, and with the help of Mariah Gordon, they were able to grab the lead in the third. The fourth was much of the same. The athleticism of these two teams was a true joy to watch, especially the 360 fadeaways. Oh my gosh. Talaysia Cooper and Z Spearman put forth a huge effort to keep Tennessee ahead before the buzzer went off. Very close game and an amazing effort by Tania Latson of FSU, who ended with a career-high 38 points and 3 steals. She nearly handed Tennessee their first loss, but wasn't able to complete the mission. But hand this girl her flowers. I am thoroughly impressed. The high scorer for Tennessee was Talaysia Cooper with 22 points, 7 rebounds, followed by Z Spearman with 13 points and 5 rebounds. Tennessee had 9 three-pointers in this game and remain undefeated. And lastly, Vanderbilt handed Miami its first loss of the season. Vanderbilt took the lead early in the first, and they never looked back. The Cavinder twins, Haley and Hannah, were held to 13 and 8 points respectively, and Miami is undefeated no more. Next, we're going to move on to night 2, where we had Kentucky versus North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina started strong with a 14-4 run, led by Alyssa Usby, 5th three-pointer of the season. They led 36-25 at halftime, holding Kentucky to 36% shooting. This was a very messy half for the Wildcats. Despite a brief comeback attempt by Kentucky in the third quarter, North Carolina pulled away in the fourth quarter, outscoring Kentucky 42-10 in the paint. A complete blowout. It appears that the assignment for Kentucky in the fourth was to send the Tar Heels to the free throw line, and that didn't work out so well. Rennia Kelly led North Carolina with 18 points and 6 assists, while Maria Gakdang added 16 points and 9 rebounds. For Kentucky, Deja Lawrence had 17 points, and Amelia Hassett had 13 points and 13 rebounds. Clara Strack was held to 4 points, and Georgia Amore ended with 10. North Carolina's dominant performance showcased their depth and strength, particularly in the paint, securing a convincing victory, and Kentucky is undefeated no more. Now let's move on to talk about number 4 Texas versus number 10 Notre Dame. Well, I was proven wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I expected the undefeated Texas Longhorns to walk away with a fairly easy win, but that wasn't the case. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish narrowly defeated the Texas Longhorns with a score of 80-70 in overtime. You guys know I like to call Texas the land of the bigs when it comes to the women's basketball, and I thought Notre Dame would be outsized as they only have Kate Caval over 6'2". The game was tightly contested, with Texas leading 39-34 at halftime. Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles versus Madison Booker and Shea Hawley was quite the show. Taylor Jones and Kate Caval were a good matchup, and Caval played a much better game than she did against TCU. My concern with her remains her defensive play. She needs to tighten it up a bit. She does a lot of moving, and it's going to continue to get her into foul trouble. Jones got hurt during the game with a hard fall and was replaced by Kayla Oldacre for a portion of the game, who was also a great matchup for Caval. Oldacre scored 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks for the Longhorns, while Caval had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Regulation ended with a 68-all tie after Laitu King fouled and Rory Harmon made both free throws, sending the game into overtime. Notre Dame pulled away in overtime with a couple of massive threes from Hidalgo and Citrone, outscoring Texas 12-2 in the extra period to secure the victory. Notre Dame's Hannah Hidalgo led the game with an impressive 30 points, going 11 of 20 from the field, adding 8 rebounds and 3 steals. Olivia Miles and Sonia Citrone contributed 18 points each, while Laitu King added 10 points. Texas was led by Madison Booker, who scored 20 points, followed by Shea Hawley with 14 points. And that just wasn't enough, and Texas is undefeated no more. Now we're going to talk about Alabama and the California Golden Bears. The California Golden Bears narrowly defeated the Alabama Crimson Tide with a score of 69-65. Alabama led the first half, going into halftime up 6 points, but the Bears outscored the Roll Tide by 10 points in the third and was able to hold the lead the remainder of the game. Both teams played a great game and really kept it close and left it all on the floor. There were a total of 13 made three-pointers in this game, 9 of those coming from the Bears, with Kayla Williams and Iona Cremilli with 3 each, and Marta Suarez with 2 three-pointers. She also contributed 16 points overall. Kayla Williams led California with 21 points, while Iona Cremilli added 19 points. For Alabama, Zay Green led the scoring with 28 points, In essence, Cody contributed 13 points. It was a close and competitive game, but California managed to come out on top, and Alabama is undefeated no more. Now, if we're tallying up the scores, the SEC won the challenge with 10 wins, while the ACC only had 6. Now let's jump over to the Champions Challenge that was located at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The first game up was Tennessee versus Iowa. Yes, we have Tennessee twice in this video as they are out here wreaking havoc. Both teams coming in undefeated, and Tennessee coming off a hard fight against FSU. The Vols and the Hawkeyes traded the lead several times in the first quarter, ending with the Hawkeyes up by 4. The Hawkeyes held on to a narrow lead most of the way through the second, but a layup by Ruby Whitehorn turned the tide late in the second, leading to a tie score of 35-35 going into the half. And I must say, there were a ton of turnovers in the first half of this game. The third quarter was more of the same, remaining a close game with Tennessee coming out on top by 3 at the end of the third. Then the fourth, Iowa took the lead for a short time until about 3 minutes left in the game, where Talaysia Cooper made a jumper and the Vols kept the momentum going, scoring another 10 points and holding the Hawkeyes to only 1 in those last 3 minutes. As I mentioned, the turnovers were a big issue for the Hawkeyes. They ended with 30 turnovers compared to Tennessee's 9. The high score of the game was Lucy Olson of Iowa and Talaysia Cooper for Tennessee with 23 points each. And Iowa is undefeated no more. Now let's move on to the game that everyone was waiting for, and that is, I literally should have done a complete separate video on this one because we're high that this would be a very competitive game, but then Ashlyn Watkins went and dunked in the first quarter. Listen, I screamed. The fans were on TCU because they couldn't recover from that. Now could they? In the second and third, baffled by this game. TCU had 20 turnovers. Sedona Prince has been such a... Things that impressed me were, 1, the defense from South Carolina not leaving Connor. 3, the complication of the plays they ran to have TCU completely scrambling. 4, Chloe Kitts. I mean, the hustle was real. 5, Full Wiley's greatness on display. TCU is undefeated no more. So I have been very long-winded with this video. Like I said, so much to cover. So I'm just going to flash the AP polls up here. I'm not going to go over them one by one like I normally do. I will point out that North Carolina State has made it back onto the list, and newcomers Tennessee and Georgia Tech have joined the top 25. Congratulations and welcome to the party. No longer in the top 25 are Alabama, Illinois, and Louisville. So now we'll talk about what we're going to be watching this week, and thank goodness it's going to be a lot slower than last week. I mean, we were jam-packed with games last week. We will be watching 18th ranked Iowa State versus 21 ranked Iowa on Wednesday night. And on Thursday night, we're going to be watching number 2 ranked UConn versus number 8 ranked Notre Dame. And I am truly looking forward to this. I do believe Ozzie Fudd may be out for the game. I've been hearing some swirls that she might be out due to a sprain in her ankle. So we'll see if she shows up for that one. And on Friday, we will be watching Stanford versus California. Then on Sunday, we will be watching Iowa versus undefeated Michigan State. And 14th ranked North Carolina versus 25th ranked Georgia Tech, who also is undefeated. Again, I am so sorry the video was so late. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And again, subscribe if you haven't done so already. It's the holidays, so things are happening. Also, holidays are very stressful, so you take care of yourself, okay? Go tell yourself you love you. All right. And that's going to be all we have for you today. We will see you on the next one. Have a great week and goodbye.